War is loud. It arrives with fire. It arrives with steel. But a different kind of power is reshaping the globe. This power is quiet. It moves through contracts. It moves through currency. It builds bridges. It buys loyalty. China has not fired a shot in a significant conflict for decades. Yet, its influence now circles the planet. Its footprint is pressed into the concrete of ports in Pakistan. Its footprint is pressed into the concrete of ports in Greece. It is found in the copper mines of Zambia. It is found in the lithium fields of Bolivia. It is woven into the digital networks. It is woven into infrastructure projects. This is a story of global reach achieved without a single army marching across a border. At the heart of China's global strategy is a single, monumental concept. It is called the Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. In simple terms, it is a plan to build a new version of the ancient Silk Road. This new road is not just one path. It is a vast network of infrastructure projects designed to connect China with the rest of the world. It has two main components. The belt refers to overland corridors, including railways, highways, pipelines. The road refers to a maritime route of seaports' coastal developments. Together, they aim to create the largest infrastructure and trade platform in human history, linking dozens of countries. The projects are massive in scale and ambition. They are the physical manifestation of China's vision for a new era of globalization. In Pakistan, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor involves building power plants at deep-water port at Gwadar, offering China direct access to the Arabian Sea. In Southeast Asia, a high-speed rail line is being constructed to link Kunming in southern China, Laos, Thailand, and eventually Singapore. In Africa, railways built with Chinese financing now connect the coast of Kenya to its interior. These are not just isolated projects. They are nodes in a carefully planned network, designed to facilitate the flow of goods, resources, and capital. On a map, these projects form new arteries of trade and influence, all leading back to Beijing. The process usually begins with a government-to-government agreement. A country needs a new port, a modern highway, or a reliable power grid. Often, Western institutions or private investors are unwilling to take on the risk or cannot move quickly enough. China steps in with an offer. Chinese state-owned banks, like the China Development Bank and the Export-Import Bank of China, provide the massive loans required to fund the project. In most cases, the contracts stipulate that Chinese state-owned construction companies will be hired to do the work. This model ensures that the money loaned out often cycles back into the Chinese economy, creating jobs and revenue for its own firms. For many developing nations, the appeal is undeniable. The promise is one of rapid development and economic growth. Leaders see gleaming new airports and efficient railways as symbols of national progress. They see a partner in China that is willing to finance their ambitions when others are not. The Belt and Road Initiative is presented as a win-win proposition, a shared journey toward prosperity. It is a powerful narrative, backed by concrete, steel, and billions of dollars in financing. But the long-term cost of this rapid development is a subject of growing debate. The foundation of these projects is debt, and debt always has to be repaid. A loan is a tool. It can build a future, or it can become a chain. The financial architecture of the Belt and Road Initiative relies heavily on lending. When a country takes on billions of dollars in loans for an infrastructure project, it also takes on a significant risk. The project must generate enough economic activity to pay back the principal and the interest. If it fails to do so, or if the country's broader economy falters, the debt becomes an unbearable burden. This is the point where economic leverage can transform into political influence. Critics call this phenomenon debt trap diplomacy, a strategy of lending to gain control. The case of Sri Lanka is the most cited example. The government borrowed heavily from China to build the Hambantota port on its southern coast. The project was intended to be a major shipping hub, but the port struggled to attract ships and failed to generate the expected revenue. With mounting debts and no way to make the payments, the Sri Lankan government faced a crisis. In 2017, it reached a deal. It handed over the port and 15,000 acres of surrounding land to a Chinese state-owned company on a 99-year lease. In exchange, some of the debt was forgiven. A strategic national asset was now under the long-term control of a foreign power. Similar stories are unfolding elsewhere. In Zambia, a nation rich in copper, years of heavy borrowing from Chinese lenders have contributed to a sovereign debt crisis. The country has had to restructure its debts, with concerns raised about the collateral for these loans, which can include revenues from state-owned enterprises or even the resources themselves. In Kenya, the construction of the standard gauge railway from Mombasa to Nairobi was a landmark achievement. But the project was financed with a multi-billion-dollar loan from China. The terms of that loan have been kept secret, leading to public concern about what assets, including the strategic port of Mombasa, might have been pledged as collateral if Kenya defaults. The price of progress, it seems, can sometimes be control over one's own future. China's strategy extends far beyond infrastructure and loans. It also involves a sophisticated campaign to build influence from within. This is the realm of soft power, where attraction and persuasion replace coercion. The goal is to shape opinions, build relationships, and create a favorable environment for China's interests. This is done through targeted investments in key sectors of Western societies, including media, entertainment, academia, and technology. When a Chinese company buys a Hollywood studio or invests in a film production, it can influence the content that global audiences see, ensuring China is portrayed in a positive light and sensitive topics are avoided. These investments create commercial partnerships that bind Western companies closer to the Chinese market, making them hesitant to take positions that might anger Beijing and jeopardize their profits. It is a subtle but effective way to manage the global narrative. Universities and academic institutions are another key focus. Chinese funding supports research centers, language programs, and scholarly exchanges at prestigious universities across the United States and Europe. These Confucius Institutes and other partnerships promote Chinese language and culture. While they offer valuable educational opportunities, they have also raised concerns about academic freedom. Critics worry that universities dependent on Chinese funding might self-censor research on topics deemed sensitive by the Chinese government, such as Tibet, Taiwan, or human rights. It involves media partnerships that place Chinese state media content in foreign newspapers. It includes political outreach, where Chinese diplomats and organizations cultivate relationships with local and national politicians. The objective is to create a network of friends and partners around the world who see China not as a rival, but as a source of opportunity and cooperation. A modern economy runs on raw materials. Factories need steel, electric cars need lithium, smartphones need rare earth elements. China is the world's factory, and its appetite for these resources is insatiable. To power its industries and secure its technological future, China has embarked on a global quest for natural resources. This is not a new phenomenon, but the scale and strategic focus of China's efforts are unprecedented. The resource grab is a critical pillar of its economic strategy, ensuring that its supply chains are secure and less vulnerable to geopolitical turmoil. This scramble for materials is redrawing the resource map of the world. Africa, with its vast and often untapped mineral wealth, has been a central theater for this campaign. Chinese companies have invested billions in mines across the continent. In the Democratic Republic of Congo, Chinese firms now control a majority of the country's cobalt production, a critical component in batteries for electric vehicles and electronics. In Guinea, Chinese companies are major players in the bauxite mining industry, the primary source of aluminum. These investments are often packaged with infrastructure deals. China will build a road, a railway, or a port in exchange for access to the mines, creating a complete system to extract the resources and ship them back home. The search extends to South America, another resource-rich continent. The region's lithium triangle, which spans parts of Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile, holds more than half of the world's known lithium reserves. Chinese companies have been aggressively investing to secure access to this white gold, which is essential for the green energy transition. They are buying stakes in mining companies and financing new extraction projects. positioning China as a dominant force in the global battery supply chain. Even the remote and forbidding Arctic is part of this strategic calculation. As climate change causes sea ice to melt, new shipping lanes are opening up, such as the Northern Sea Route. The Arctic is also believed to hold vast, undiscovered reserves of oil, gas, and minerals. For over 70 years, the global financial system has been built on one foundation: the US dollar. It is the world's primary reserve currency. Most international trade, especially in commodities like oil, is priced and settled in dollars. This gives the United States immense economic and political power. It can impose sanctions that cut countries off from the global economy. China, as a rising global power and frequent target of U.S. economic pressure, sees this dependency on the dollar as a strategic vulnerability. As a result, it is methodically taking steps to build an alternative financial architecture. One of the most direct moves is the promotion of its own currency, the yuan, also known as the renminbi. China is encouraging its trading partners to settle transactions in yuan instead of dollars. It has established currency swap lines with dozens of central banks around the world, making it easier for them to access yuan. While the yuan still accounts for a small fraction of global payments, its use is steadily growing, particularly in trade related to the Belt and Road Initiative. The long-term goal is to create a parallel system where international commerce can be conducted without ever touching the US dollar or the US banking system. At the same time, China has become one of the world's largest buyers of physical gold. For years, the People's Bank of China has been steadily increasing its gold reserves, diversifying away from dollar-denominated assets like treasury bonds, bolstering confidence in the yuan. The picture that emerges is one of a world being quietly and systematically remade. This is not the chaos of war, but the deliberate execution of a grand strategy. It is a plan that uses the tools of a globalized economy, capital, trade, infrastructure, to project power and secure national interests. It is a strategy that is patient, multifaceted, and long-term. Each action is a single thread, but together they weave a new fabric of global influence. Is it a threat, or is it simply a clever strategy? From one perspective, China's actions are a logical and masterful use of economic statecraft, financing development where others would not. From another, they are seen as debt traps, acquisitions of strategic assets, and soft power pushes that erode sovereignty and reshape the international order to serve Beijing's interests. For some, a Chinese-built railway is a lifeline. For others, a Chinese-backed loan is the first step toward a crisis. The benefits are immediate and visible. The risks are long-term and hidden in the fine print. Every nation must weigh the promise of development against the potential cost to independence. This silent reordering continues every day. A new deal signed, a new project breaking ground, another billion flowing from one capital to another. The map of power is being redrawn not in blood, but in ink and digital transactions. The ultimate prize is the ability to shape the rules of the 21st century. This leads us to a final, critical question. Is this the inevitable rise of a new kind of global power, built on commerce and mutual interest? Or is it a warning sign for a world that is trading away its future, one deal at a time? Subscribe to The Sovereign Thought. Next, how wars are financed. Follow the money.